This is my 2005 Acura RSX ownership review. What's up everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be doing a review on my 2005 Acura RSX Type S. This car currently has 159,000 miles, and when I purchased this car it had 91,000 miles, and that was about 10 years ago. So I've driven this car quite a bit. I'm pretty familiar with this car by now. When I originally purchased the car, I bought it for $14,000 back in, I don't know, 10 years ago, 2013. It was my first car. I've managed to be able to keep it somehow, not end up selling it like most people do, but for now I have no plans on selling it. It's going to be staying along with me. So this car originally comes with a K20Z1 paired with an open diff 6-speed transmission. The K20Z1 pushes about 210 horsepower stock. It currently pushes 225 to the wheels. Plus, if you guys see this, the car is on nitrous, so it pushes a little more when it's on the bottle. To give you guys a breakdown on how this has worked, it's been pretty good. I haven't had any issues. Surprisingly, throughout the 10 years of ownership with this car, it's never left me stranded. So it's been pretty good there for 10 years and not ever having to leave me stranded. Hopefully the luck continues. This car has quite a few changes that I've done to it. It's got an upgraded manifold, it's got a short ram intake, it's got a 2-piece header, and out the back it has a Borla exhaust. As you can see there, that's where the power comes from. It actually is running on E85, and it actually has cams also. As far as maintenance to keep this car going, it's been pretty simple. Just oil changes. I do them every 1,500 miles, and the reason I do that is because I don't really drive this car much. For me to put 1,500 miles on this car, it's usually around 6 months. So I do the oil change about every 1,500 miles or every 6 months. The oil I use is Mobil One's 5W30. Since it is on nitrous, I do change the spark plugs once a year. It's pretty common when you're spraying a car to change your spark plugs pretty often. I believe I should be doing it more often, but I've been doing it once a year. As far as any major problems that I've had with this car, I would say the biggest problem was the 3rd gear synchro. I actually just got that fixed, but that's a pretty common issue with these cars. Hondas around this year, their 2nd and 3rd gear synchros are prone to go out. Also, probably the thing I always had to change pretty often is going to be this motor mount right here. This motor mount I've changed about 5 times throughout the 10 years I've owned this car. Prior to that, I never really had to change it because I wasn't driving the car as aggressive as I do now. I was just kind of commuting in it, nothing too crazy. But now with all the modifications I've done to it, I do track this car pretty often, and I guess it doesn't like all the movement, the back and forth from the engine. When you're giving it gas, letting it off, it just wears out really fast. So let me know in the comments if you guys own an RSX and have had that issue with me with this car before. The last issue I've had is this power steering pump going out. Went out on me actually fairly recent, maybe like 2 years ago. And actually I'd say the biggest and the weirdest issue I've had with this car was the fuel pump. The fuel pump that goes under these seats, it cracked. The housing cracked, and it was spewing gas all underneath the car, and it was a mess. And when we looked at it, we couldn't figure out what caused it, so we just went ahead and changed it, and it's been running good ever since. That was probably about 5 years ago. But that was the weirdest kind of thing that's happened with this car. And now to go to the inside of it, of what I've changed on the inside. Some of these changes I like that I did, some of them I don't. Let me go through that right now. So I did go ahead and change the radio to an aftermarket radio. There was nothing bad with the original radio, it just didn't have Bluetooth, and I held off for as long as I could, but as soon as my iPhone removed the little audio input, I kind of was forced to move onto Bluetooth, so that's when I made the change. But the short shifter, I did when this is probably one of my favorite things that I've done to the inside of the car. It's a weighted shift knob, and it's not a original Type R one, but it looks pretty close to it, and the quality of it is pretty good. Onto something that I don't really like is this steering wheel. But if you guys haven't noticed, I was in an accident probably about 2 years ago now, and the airbag went out. It was pretty bad. I had to replace the steering wheel, so I did it temporarily. This was what I could get, what I could afford, what was in my budget. But we'll be switching this out to a DC5 Type R soon. Honestly, I can't wait for that, because I do not like this at all. Now for what I'm sitting on a Recaro. I believe these are the R100s. They're reclinable, pretty good seats. I'm actually going to be getting more of these, and the reason I changed them is because, if you guys don't know, the 2005, well, the Acura RSX Type S, they come with like a pleather type seat, and it just wears out. It wore out almost instantly after I got the car. It probably just lasted me 2 years after I had it, and then it was just, every time I would get into it, I'd be fishing pieces of that leather stuff and throwing it out. It just became a big mess, and then the whole seat just looked nasty. So I went ahead and changed that. This is actually a pretty old seat by now. I'd say it's at least 5 years old. As you can see, it's been wearing it. And then on the other side, I have an NRG seat. That's kind of like just whatever, you know. Same situation, that seat wore out, and yeah, you kind of have to just replace them. And I didn't want to go with the original seats anymore, just because of how they wear out. So also another thing that I had to change is I had to get the car resprayed. And this was already, when I purchased this car, the paint was already fading. It was fading up here, it was fading. I didn't have this wing. It came with the 0506 lip, but I made the change to this, and so this part was fading, and the hood was fading pretty bad, and it was pretty bad. And when I bought the car, you can already see the signs of fading, so I had to get this car resprayed, so just to make it look nice. I know it's probably gonna hurt the value of the car, but like I said, there's no plans on me selling this car anytime soon. Throughout the 10 years of me owning this car, I would say, if I would rate it 1 out of 10, I would give it, I'd say a good 8. For a first car, I would give it a good 8. It's been very reliable, cheap to own, and it's a good looking car. It's aged well, you know. It doesn't really look like it's almost 20 years old. This is a 2005, so it's almost 20 years old, and it still looks pretty good. Let me give you guys a cold start and show you guys what this car sounds like. So it's not really a bad sounding car. If you guys pick that up, the Borla exhaust is not much bigger than the OEM exhaust, which is kind of what I like about this exhaust. It's not really loud. Despite everything that I've done to this car, it should be pretty loud, but it's very quiet. Very quiet. So that's going to be it for my review of my 2005 Acura RSX Type S. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll finish off the video with a few drive-bys of it, so you guys can see what it looks like when it's driving and what it sounds like. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and have notifications on for the next video. Hope you guys have a good one. Thanks for watching.